We're going to use Photoshop to make an animated GIF file, graphic interchange format. And the GIF files can have multiple frames to display over time, and that's how they animate. So first step is you make sure you have your animation window turned on in the window space. And when you turn the animation on, you'll notice that it's going to either come up with the frame or the timeline style. The timeline is for doing videos, so almost a baby After Effects. The frame by frame is for building GIF animations. So we're going to use the frame by frame. We start with one frame. The qualities of a frame are you can have things turned on that are visible. It works with layers. I've got a series of layers here, the eat, the at, the Joes, and I've got two flavors of Joe. I've got a darker one and a lighter one, so I can do a blink effect by turning that on and off. And so you can, over time, you can turn on the visibility of layers, you can change the opacity of layers, and you can change the position of layers. And that's the set of tools you have for making GIF animations. So we'll start with nothing here except the background. And you'll see here that says 10 seconds. You have a time selector here. I think I want to have this sit for 2 seconds. So somebody looks at my GIF animation, they go, what's that empty box for 2 seconds? Give them a chance to see it. Then we go to the next frame with the new frame button here. So it duplicates the frame I have selected. And so on the first frame, I'm going to start by just popping eat on. Okay, then I'll make one more frame. I'll add the word at. And then the next one, we put in the regular Joes. And let's do something tricky. I don't want it to just pop in. I think I want to go eat at and have Joes come in from the side. So what I can do with this is I can animate from over here to over here. I'm going to duplicate this so I have this final position. And then on this one, I'll take the Joes layer, activate that, and I'm going to use the Shift key, and I'm going to use the cursor key, the right arrow, or left arrow, and just move it off screen until it just disappears. And then I've got two states. Joe is off to the left, Joe is in place. I'll select both of those, and this little thing down here called the tween effect, tween animation frames. That's an animation term for in between frames. I'm going to put in, I'm not going to make it too huge, I'm going to put in 3 frames. And it says, okay, it's going to look at all layers, position, opacity, effects, it's going to do everything. And as you can see now, it started with the image off, go to the next frame, it moves in. So that built my animation for that going in like that. And then what I can do is I can create timing on this. So the first frame, nothing there, sits for 2 seconds. Then I have it go to eat. I'm going to have that sit there for 1 second. Then I'm going to have it sit on the eat at for 1 second. And then I'm going to have these that animate the image in. I'm going to select 2/10 of a second. And then, so they're going to come in pretty quickly. Then this one, I'm going to have it sit there for 2 seconds, and then I'm going to duplicate it. And on this one, I'm going to turn the highlight on and the red one off. So that's going to be on for half a second. And then I'm going to duplicate that again. And I'm going to turn the red one back on. And give that a second. And I'll do another blink here by duplicating that, turning the red one back off. I'm going to leave the bright flashes for half a second, and then one more like this. And that's going to have the final one on here, and I'm going to have it just sit there for, let's say 5 seconds. Now, it'll just sit there forever if I have this loop once, but if I tell it to repeat, which is not great practice, but sometimes you need that, at least it'll sit there for 5 seconds, and it would return to this for 2 seconds, the empty frame. Okay, so we've got that going. So if we return to the beginning and then we hit the play button. Okay, try the play button again here. And we see the Joes slide in there. Then it does a blinking and then it stops. So we'll stop that. And let's go back to this, or this one here. And on the Joe's layer, let's take the opacity down to, down to like about 30%. And then on the next one, let's take it down to, actually, we didn't really need to do the first one because it's off screen. Let's do this one at about 35%. Okay, do this one at 65%. This one at like 85%. And then this one is full strength, so it goes. So it sort of fades in. So that is the meat of our animated GIF. And then we would go to Save for Web and Devices, and we'd choose the GIF format. We would tell it, we could preview the animation. We have either forever or once or other. You could tell it to like repeat two times if we wanted. And then you set up your colors and all that. It defaults to a fairly good compromise here, 128 colors, because of all of the blendy background I've got is pretty appropriate. And so we would save that and make an animated GIF, and that is how to make your basic animated GIF. Now, the sample page that we built, or that I provided, I had this quick draw animation. And this one was built with a rotating gun, and so I duplicated the gun layer, and each layer I went and rotated it 30 degrees, and so I labeled these by the degree of rotation I did. And as I went around, you can see that the different layers are highlighted in the layer panel, and each layer on the gun was rotated by 30 degrees until it returned back to the original, and then this just spins around. This was for the rollover effect, and when you roll over, the gun starts to spin. And my trick was to keep the gun believable, spinning around as if it was spinning on somebody's trigger finger, I put two guides in here for the center of the trigger guard, and I kept all of the frames, trigger guards, happening in that, on that cross part, crossbars. So that's how I kind of controlled this, and this is just a way of doing animated GIFs that that have a little bit of believable action to them. So that, in a nutshell, is making animated GIFs.